These 10 women are out every single day doing the right thing, even when it's the hard thing, giving themselves to their family, their work, and their community, and they're doing it selflessly. And so today, we get to help them shout and celebrate and honor all the great work that they're doing.
90 days into my time there, I was sitting in my office one day, and I overheard this discussion about it at that table from me, where Jim and Cliff, the two key managers in the plant, were saying to Paul, my boss, we can't work with her. She doesn't know this, and she doesn't know that, and she hasn't done this, and she hasn't done that. We can't work with her. To which Paul said, well then, gentlemen, you have a problem, because I'm not going to work with you either. Turned down his heels, went to his office, and they stood baffled in the middle of the room. And I consider that a career-saving line from Paul. I haven't worked with Paul for a long time now, but I see him every couple of years, and I always say, Paul, thank you for that line. And he always says, Audrey, you don't know how many other times I had to offer a line like that. And that, of course, raises the obvious issue of the invaluable matter of having a mentor who has your back when you're being a pioneer out there. It was incredibly valuable for me that he believed in me and really supported me. And I would add that Cliff emceed my going away party after 12 years at the Gillette Company, so we managed to work it out. It took a while, but we managed to work it out. And so, in addition to simply having a good mentor, I would offer the thoughts of building other business relationships. Obviously, I needed more than one supporter, so I found that as I worked building relationships with others, they came to believe in me, and I was able to do my job.
My attitude about selling is, which I think has been the story of my success, is I try to make it a different experience than somebody else selling down the street. When somebody comes in and shops a vehicle with me, I try to make it the best experience and make it different than anybody else that's selling. I'm not a high-pressure person by any means. I treat people how I like to be treated, and I make friends. My customers are like friends and relatives to me. And it's different because when my customers still come in, they'll come up and give me a hug, and it's like, I think the guys get jealous because they can't get the hugs like I do. But, you know.
How many cars did you sell last year?
499.
And how many does the average salesperson sell?
They probably average 8 to 10 a month, and I was averaging 42 a month. Selling that many cars, it's like every minute of the day is important to me because I'm either following up with somebody, sending my thank you cards. I mean, every minute is important.
So next time somebody says to me, nice guys don't win, I'm telling them to Google you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Linda.
I think it's really, really important for people to have their employees know exactly what their purpose is and how they contribute to the company. And often I meet with business women, and they're so scared to put their vision out there. And I kind of look at it as they feel it's an incomplete vision, and so they're scared to put it out there. And I always challenge them and say, you've got to look at that like it's like a piece of Swiss cheese, right? It's a piece of cheese with holes in it. And if you throw that incomplete vision out there, let your people fill in the holes, and it'll be a much more powerful vision. You'll get the people behind you and be able to take it forward. You're talking with the younger women out there, you have to tell them to ask. They have no idea that they can ask for more money when they're in an interview. Ask for what you want, and you have to instill that in an early age. It's absolutely amazing. We, as men and women, interview for positions and jobs. It's about 80% of the men ask for more money when you're negotiating. It's such a really small percentage of women that ever ask for more. So it's our responsibility to make sure that people understand that they need to ask for what they want. We've heard that paper is you know, we're going to be a paperless society. Well, the beginning years, paper was our #1 item. It kept going up and up and up, and now finally, the new generation, you know, of workers is coming into the workforce, and it truly is going paperless, and the paper mills are shutting down. Well, that one item, paper, right? If you don't use paper, you don't use the printer, you don't use the ink, you don't put that piece of paper into a file folder that goes into a file cabinet. It's everything that we sell is in a decline. So, you know, I ask you guys, you know, what's your paper? You know, have you really thought about what if something drastically changes? You lose your best customer, a service or a regulation comes into place that you didn't expect, or you lose a product that was yours. I really challenge everybody, you've got to be proactive in looking at things that might happen instead of being reactive. So take it and look at your industries, see what's out there, and make sure that you're looking at it as an opportunity versus a crisis.
The important thing that my kids know about me and why I'm away from them when they get off the bus or when home from school is that they know that my work has value and purpose, and they know I love my job. I tried to get my oldest to work for me, and it didn't work for me very well, but my second one, she works for me, so that helps, because I get to see my daughter at work occasionally, so that makes it easy. But definitely having the kids support and understand the work that you do makes a difference. I have a lot of friends, and this room's an exception, everyone put their hands up. I know a lot of people who hate their jobs. I mean, hate their jobs. Complain about their jobs, complain about the people they work with. I don't have that. 2 weeks ago, it was a 12 or 13-hour day, and I ran out to my car and I had energy. I felt alive. I don't think most people have that experience, so that's why it's easy for me. You have to have a team that's a happy team. So if someone comes to us and says, I can't come to work today because I've got sick kids, or we have snow days, now we have daycare issues, you just have to embrace your employees. It's inconvenient, but really you want happy staff, so you can't be angry with male or female if problems come up and kids have to stay home. I'll never forget the first time I had that issue. It was many, many, many years ago, and probably the first year I started, and they called a school day. They called it like 9 o'clock in the morning, and we had to get, you know, kids were already at school, we had to go back and get them. And my boss's response was, whoa, you get a snow day, go have fun with your kids. And not very many people would probably do that, and so that's kind of how we try. It's inconvenient, but we just do the best we can, and then everyone else just chips in.
I also have 2 wonderful kids and a fantastic husband, so I think that the main thing about being able to do a lot of different things is to get organized, prioritize, and have a good team behind you. So first you have to get organized, and if you've got to get your home and your work organized. And for my home, I need a cleaning woman, and I recommend it to anyone, to hire up, you know, some gal that you know to clean your house, because it is very difficult to do everything and still have a clean house, which is important to me because my mother instilled those types of values with me every Saturday in my entire childhood. And the next thing is to get your work organized. So by leveraging technology, by leveraging getting your life in order so that you can be the most efficient and effective producer in your job, I think is another important priority. And then from there, you prioritize. And the way I prioritize my time is by God, family, work, and everything else, whether that's school board, or running for office, or whatever it is, or chamber foundation, blah, 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 blah. It just goes on and on. But those, if you look at your decisions on, okay, I have a lot of things going on, how do I prioritize my time? Those priorities in that order will help you make that decision so you can do the right thing. And then thirdly, you need to have the right team. And the right team is, you know, many hands make light work, to whatever you're trying to accomplish. In your job, I have a great team with Sarone, and they're all sitting at that table over there. And honestly, I couldn't be as effective and as successful without their leadership, their mentorship, and things of that nature. In my family, it's definitely my husband, Tim, and my network of my extended family that really was there for me to help us with our kids. And that goes on to neighbors and friends and everybody else. Boy, it took a village to raise my kids, for sure. I always wanted to own my own business, so I'm like, wow, I just bypassed the whole corporate America thing and went right into what I want to do. So it was a door that opened, and I think that there's a lot of doors that open, and you have to have the courage to take the leap to go into whatever that door is. And there are going to be some doors that open. You're like, I'm not ready for that opportunity yet, but I think for the other thing is then I was going to be in the drugstore business forever, and then that changed, and I'm like, okay, I'll just go through my midlife crisis, and I'll go into my other business, which was commercial real estate. And I was telling my friend, you know, my midlife crisis, blah, 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 and she's like, well, you'll go through another one too. So when it happens to you, it's okay, and embrace it, and just consider it another opportunity to try a new venture.
The volunteering has changed over the years because I firmly believe, and my parents are here, which I'm very happy and proud of. They instilled in me when I was very young that if there's something that needs to be done, you do it. They coached teams that my sibling and I played on. I think anything in elementary school that she could volunteer for, she did. She was a stay-at-home mom until I was in junior high, and kind of set the bar kind of high then. So I kind of followed in their footsteps, and it's like, okay, let's see, my daughters want to, they need Girl Scout leader. Okay, haven't done it, but I'll do that. Taught religion class. The school needed an organizer for Girl Scouts. My husband sang with the Dakota Valley Symphony for a while. He got on the board of that, and he comes home one day and says, our treasurer's term has expired, and I kind of said you would do it. So it's like, okay, well, he's involved in that, I'll do that. When we moved our company down here to Lakeville in 2000, 2001, and we also moved our residency down here, we decided we are going to get involved in this community, for good, for bad, whatever. And being a business then, we decided Chamber's a good avenue for that. So I started volunteering here and there, and then I was asked, you know, how would you like to be on the board of directors? Sure, I can do that. And I've been on the executive board, and I was chair in 2012, which has been chair, and there's several other people in this audience who have chaired that organization, male, female here. And it was just something that, it just seemed like it's something that needed to be done. And so I did it. With what you're doing, take a class, do something different, just to see if maybe you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Because once I've gotten into accounting, I mean, a lot of people, I thought accounting was boring. Accounting is really fun. I love it. I love money. But the thing is you gotta, if you're not happy with what you're doing, either take a class, try and find something like that. Take, now in high school, back when we were in high school, they didn't do these things, but now in high school, I know at least with the Lakeville schools, they do those interest surveys and whatnot in high school. That is phenomenal. And as an adult, you should take it because as you get older, your interests do change through experiences, through the people you meet. And I would highly recommend it. If you know someone who's not happy with what they're doing, is it because it's who they work for? Is it what they're doing? Is it just the time in, going through a midlife crisis when you're in your mid-20s?
I'm really blessed. I'm really lucky that I have such a great job and we get to help amazing people. But sometimes you do forget. You forget that moment when you're in the day-to-day work can be challenging and have its ups and downs, but it takes that one phone call, that one person to call in to say, I need a wig, I have cancer and I need a wig and my insurance company isn't going to pay for it. And to be able to be an organization to say, we'd like to help you with that and we can help you with that because of generous sponsors and donors. So when I forget, it's never far that the reminder is there because I'm trying to work myself out of a job. That would be great if someday they said, we don't need what you do because cancer isn't here anymore. That would be a great thing for us. So it's a different world than what a lot of people live in that I'm hoping that someday my job isn't here and I'll go on to my next adventure and figure out my next path. But I am very blessed. I love what I do and I love to help people. And
Story is a little different. When I was young, I loved to
to ride my bike. And my mom was the greatest because I would say, we lived in Richfield, and I'd say, I want you to time me. I'm going to go as fast as I can and go to Lake Nokomis, bike around, and come back. And I get back and she'd tell me my time, and the next day I'd do it again. I thought she was so great because she would take the time to time me. And then fast forward, I became a stepmom, and I realized I was really giving her the greatest gift because I gave her like 45 minutes to an hour. So I loved the bike, but I also loved to do fundraising. You know, you would get those little things and have to, like, you could win a sun catcher or maybe a game or a stuffed animal. All the prizes were absolutely ridiculous, but I would love to go in my neighborhood and sell something because you could get something. And through high school, my boyfriend's uncle died of HIV/AIDS, and it was a really tragic and sad time, but it was my first exposure to a disease, and also to a disease that has such a stigma around it, and I wanted to rally for him. So I saw an ad in the newspaper that said, I'm not an athlete, but I'd scale Mount Everest to make a difference in the face of AIDS. So I rode my bike from the Twin Cities to Chicago. It was 6 days, 525 miles. I was 20 years old, so that was like about 5 years ago. And along the way, there were children at a daycare, and they had these big posters, and it said, "You are a hero." And I cried every day the whole time, mostly because I was in pain. It was the first time in my life I felt like I was a hero. I felt like I had done something huge. I'd raised $7,000, and I had made Dave Sandine's memory come alive on those 6 days. And I was really lucky after graduating from college to work for a company that produced events. I worked on a cross-country bike ride to raise money for the Lung Association. And I watched 750 people go 6 weeks from Seattle to DC. And I cried every day for them because I knew that they hurt, and I also knew how proud they were of themselves. So every day I've been able to watch people with these human potential events do something big rather than just write a check. They're out there sweating, they're in porta potties, and they're eating snacks on the ground, and they're doing this hard work for somebody else, not for them. It's not a vacation to do a breast cancer ride or an attaboy ride or a new Mess Fest event. It's hard work. So I never knew if I got into something and found out that I was good at it. I just knew what I loved, and if I could make a living and change someone's life doing it, I figured that's exactly what I'm going to do. And my stepson now gets to look at me and his father, both people who love what they do. He never feels the pressure to be something. We always tell him, be happy and follow what you want to do and experience things and take a chance and go on a cross-country bike ride, you know, do these things. There's a list of things we tell him not to do that we participated in, but in terms of professionally, we really encourage him to follow what he loves, so.